Hello everyone, thanks for dropping by. That's Laura Pulver on the screen in case you didn't know who she was. And the only thing I've ever seen her in is the last of the Underworld movies. She's 3 inches shorter than me, but she's happily married to a second husband who is, surprise surprise, 6 foot, and she's had 2 children with him. So that makes her as off limits as all the other women I've had on the screen as wallpaper. So if she wasn't married with no children, would I go with her? If I was as wealthy as I've said, hypothetically, yeah. She looks friendly enough, and she's also British, even though she comes from London down south, so we won't have really much in common, because I'm up in Warrington in the northwest of England. So it's a case of, as Mum used to say, look but don't touch. Never mind. Now, as you know, owning a house is one of the major things that we do in life, and it's one of the major investments. So with the rate of divorces and the MGTOW philosophy and men and women going their separate ways, I thought I'd have a look around to see what the situation is. And I found this. As you can see, it's a site called Lending Tree. It's about mortgages, etc. And as you can read, it says home ownership, gender gap. Single women own more homes than single men. This is in the United States. This was done on January the 27th this year. It says women typically lag behind men in pay according to US Bureau of Labor Statistics. Women's average weekly earnings are 83.6% of men's. And it says, while research indicates women are generally less well off financially than men, one key area in which women are likely to fare better than men is home ownership. And then we go across America, 50 states, single women own 2,719,923 more homes than single men. Single women own 11.14 million homes and single men who own 8.42 million homes. Put another way, single women own 13.01% owner-occupied homes and single men own 9.83% of occupied homes. And then it drops down. States with the largest share of single women homeowners in America. It's New Mexico, Mississippi, West Virginia. Then we have the map of America showing you where they are. Notice a lot of these places where women own homes are black states. Well, the predominant population of them are black, not white. And that's where West Virginia is. And also in the nearly southern states here. Now if you drop down, states with the largest share of single men in America: North Dakota, South Dakota, and Alaska. Also there's additional states. There's Michigan, where one of my subscribers, Midnight MGTOW, lives. And as you can see, these states don't have much in the way of population, so it's a case of men can live in peace and quiet up here instead of in the more populous states of America here and here. So states with the widest gender gap of home ownership rates between single owners: Delaware, Connecticut, Maryland, and we have the map again. 3. If you can hear knocking in the background, people, the next door's having a new bathroom put in, and the job is coming to an end now, so in case you didn't know what that knocking was. There's Maryland. Tiny little thing. And then we have the various factors contributing to higher ownership of rates among single women. And it says, although it's relatively sparse as evidence that single women are more willing than single men to make sacrifices to become homeowners. Doesn't say anything about divorce. And it says, while women generally earn less than men, that isn't always the case, especially amongst younger generations. For instance, average earnings among medieval women are higher than those of medieval men in 6 metros: Atherton, Portland and Maine. I think I'll shut the living room door. Sorry about that, people. That should muffle the knocking next door. And it says, where was I now? It says the average earnings of millennial women in major metropolitan areas such as Providence, Rhode Island, Sacramento, California, and Washington, D.C. are less than $2,000 lower than those of millennial men. So these women there have high-paying office jobs. I would say that women in those areas are post-war, working on a career in corporate America, and that's why they can afford their own homes. Now we drop down, says, comparable to even higher earnings combined with greater home ownership desire could contribute to higher ownership rates among young single women. Where I've just said, these probably are career women with 6-figure salaries. And then we got tips for home buyers and mythology. That's just the first article. I've found several others, but they all generally tell the same thing. So I've settled for this one, which is a New York Post, as it's a mass circulated website for the majority of the American population. And this was done on January the 29th this year. As you can see, single women own millions more homes than single men in the US, and the gap is only growing. Notice the tone of the headlines compared to this, as the New York Post is more a tabloid slanted article. Then we got a young woman, probably a model. Women are maybe making less than men, earning 83.6% than what the men do, but they're dominating one major financial area, home ownership. It says, despite the persistent age gap, single women are securing home ownership at a significant higher rates than their male counterparts. Notice the tone of the wording. And it says, according to the new Lending Tree analysis, which was this, the US Census Bureau found that single women own 2.72 million more homes than single men. But it doesn't say, in all what I've read, whether they got them via their own efforts or via a divorce. And it says it's no secret that women turn less than men, blah, blah, blah. And it says, in 47 out of 50 states, single women who live alone are more likely to own a home than their single male counterparts. And then we just reinforce what he just said. And then we have the maps again. Now, the only bit which is slanted toward MGTOW and men is right at the bottom. It says, while single women are leading the home ownership, that doesn't necessarily translate to greater financial security. Even if you own a home, as you know, you have to maintain it. And then you got insurance. And then you got the utility bills. The study shows that women face longer economic struggles at higher rates than men, particularly after divorce. And it says, while some might assume that higher ownership rates mean women financially benefit from divorce settlements, research suggests the opposite. Many women experience a significant financial decline post-divorce because they don't have the husband's salary coming in to help to pay all the bills. She might own a house or a flat or a condo, whatever that is, but she still has to maintain it and pay all the bills for the utilities and insurance and everything else. And then we have the comments. Now the string is quite interesting. He says, someone who's lived in the home for 24 years and has watched more than one single divorced woman move in and out of houses around us. They may be able to afford one, at least in the short term, but it doesn't mean they can afford or are willing to keep it up. In other words, the bills get too much, so she moves out. And then, so you're saying you couldn't be able to upkeep your home if you didn't have your husband to fall back on. I'm a widow and I've had my home for many years, but is it paid off? And my name is the only name on that deed, and even when I was married, I paid for my repairs of my house for years. But that's only part of it. And then Anna says, women get a high percentage of money when they file for divorce. The money isn't earned by them but by their ex-husbands. Men end up losing more than they should. The court system is crazy. I'm a female. I can give her a thumbs up. Yep. And then reality check. Your comments are full of holes. Women receive child support because there are children to take care of. And then she goes on there. Anna replies, women need to realise they should be able to take care of themselves just like men can. Not all women should receive child support if there is a 50-50 plan for both parents. Mothers aren't always the best parent for children. True. Women need to stay in the workforce at least a fraction of the time of their primary caretaker. And then Kit Kat replies, women with kids with these men just to get child support. And you actually believe that, don't you? And then reality check, another silly person who believes everything fronted by trash media and can't discern what reality is. And then we have all the other comments. But women might own a lot of homes that they might have got through a divorce, but their income then is a sole beneficiary to maintain that home. And if their earnings is not equaling what's going out, as in the bills, insurance, etc., then they might have to sell that home that they got through a divorce. But there again, if they sell the home, if they can, they get a lump of money, but then the American taxman takes a chunk of that, as it does in my country, and you have to buy another home, but by that time the price of the home where she wants could have gone up and exceeds more than what she can afford, and she goes in a spiral downwards. Men, on the other hand, can get by with quite little. I pay rent on this flat. It comes out of my state pension, and I'm quite comfortable here. It's big enough for me. I don't have much, but I don't really need much. But it shows that MGTOW and men and women going their separate ways is having a sort of short-term effect on the number of homes owned by women in America, but with 2030 creeping along and more single women finding out that they can't manage on their own and they need a man, this home owning thing could start to drop off, as all these women who own the homes at the moment find out that they can't really afford it, and these homes that they own come on the market where men who can manage and accumulate money will eventually in the future be buying all these millions of homes that were formerly occupied by women. I think I'm on 15 minutes now. I just wanted to keep a short one this week because it's been a busy morning for me. So, you know the routine, people. Like, dislike, comment, subscribe. It's completely up to you. But this millions of women owning homes is only a short-term flash in the pan, and within the next 10, maybe 15 years, it's going to reverse, and they'll have millions of men owning homes and women owning homes in a minority. Right, you know the routine, people. Like, dislike, comment, subscribe. Whoops. Silly boy. It's completely up to you. So until next Monday, I'll try and do one a little bit earlier. That's it from me. Bye-bye.